And have you ever noticed, my friend, that we human beings, it's true of me, it's true of you too, have a certain restlessness, that it is hard for us to settle down. We're always looking forward to something, and that's good. And yet, when we get there, we're never quite satisfied. So, when you're a little kid, you look forward to starting school. But when you're in grade school, then you're thinking about high school. Ah, yes, when I get in high school. But high school isn't that fulfilling. And you say, when I get in college, then that's it. But you get your degree from college, and a lot of people aren't settled down yet. They figure there's something more to learn, and there is. And so it's on for a master's, and then pushing, you figure, I'm this far, I might as well keep going. And you're pushing for a doctorate, and you just don't settle down academically. So all of life is that way, sort of internal restlessness. In one sense, that's good. Perhaps this is what gives us creativity. So we get all kinds of new things and new inventions, and our whole modern way of life, because somebody has been a bit restless and invented something else, or perfected or refined something else. But even in that, there is still a certain emptiness. It's not truly fulfilling. What is this dissatisfaction with yourself? You go through life, and then you're looking for the promotion at work, but when it comes, it's not all that satisfying. And then, oh yes, retirement. Oh, what could be better than retirement? Well, I was talking to a fellow one day, and he had retired, and he said, I had this list of things to do around the house and repairs and so on. And he said, at the end of 2 weeks, it was all done. So what do I do now? So retirement isn't that fulfilling. Some people in their restlessness and dissatisfaction take to traveling, and in this country and in other countries, as long as their money lasts, they will travel to see something else. And yet, it's not that fulfilling. What is this? There is something in the human heart that keeps us reaching and longing and striving for something else. And sometimes, sadly, it's like in the dark, a feeling for something that we know is there, but we can't quite get our hands on it. What is all of this? Well, of course, we are created by God. The Bible tells us that. And that he made us, the first chapter of Genesis, in his own image. Well, what does it mean, in his likeness and image? Well, like God, we have intellect, emotions, will, so we're in his image. That's not true of any of the animals. No. And it's only true of human beings. And I shall never forget, though it was many years ago, I'm sitting in a class at the University of Chicago, and Mortimer Adler is the lecturer. Mortimer Adler was one of the greatest intellects of the last century. And he was going that night for an hour and a half on an anti-evolution lecture. Oh my. Now, amazingly, in that hour and a half, he did not touch anything that had to do with biology. It all was on logic, on philosophy. And his bottom line was that mankind, we humans, differ from the animal kingdom, not in degree, but in kind, not in degree. We're not just higher animals, evolved with our ancestors in the animal world. No, but we differ in degree. And one of his key points in proving this was that only human beings have discursive language. What did he mean like that? By that we can talk. Or you say, well, a parrot talks. That's true. A parrot can be taught to repeat a phrase and maybe a second phrase, but the parrot cannot take those two phrases and take words from them and make a third phrase. Oh, no. Speech is lacking. Did you ever see even two chimpanzees sitting down and having a conversation? No. Or two dogs? No conversation. But two human beings, yes, a conversation. And amazingly, speech is one of the first things that an infant picks up. And how does he didn't go to school, how does he learn to talk? Well, Mortimer Adler would say, that's because he's a human being and he can pick this up. And even before he gets in school, if he's exposed, immersed in a second language, by the time he's 5-year-old and going to kindergarten, he may be fluent with the right circumstances, not in one, but in two languages. Amazing that we're created in the likeness and image of God. And that means we're different from all the animals. And that accounts for this restlessness which is within us. That's not true of animals. They just live their lives with no particular objective. We have an objective, and we want to know where we are going. What is this inner dissatisfaction, this restlessness that never seems to be satisfied in life as we move from one phase of life to another, and always are grasping for something else that's out there? Well, Scripture is clear on this. And Psalm 42 is the deer pants after the water brook, so my soul pants after God. Oh, that's it. We want to know God, and we want to be holy people, totally different from God. And even the most wicked person somehow has deep within him a thirst, a knowledge for God. That is this disquiet, this restlessness, this uneasiness that so besieges us and gnaws at us at every turn in life. Yes, that's what it is. And I remember seeing years ago a drawing by the famed artist in this country, Norman Rockwell, who drew many sketches for the Saturday Evening Post. And one of Rockwell's drawings was in a little restaurant in a little country town. And it showed two people who had come to town from the farm, the husband, the wife, their hands folded, their heads bowed, their eyes closed. Well, obviously, they were thanking God for the meal they were about to eat. And at a nearby table, there were two dudes. And these guys were having a riot of a time over this country couple praying before they ate their meal. And when the couple finished praying, one of the young guys said, "Hey, does everybody out where you live do that before they eat?" The farmer turned to the young fellow and said, "No," he said, "no. The dogs and the hogs don't do it. But every human being has prayed at some time or other. Even the atheist in a crisis, in an emergency, is crying, 'Oh God, if there be a God,' and he wants help in the midst of all his problems." Yes, yes, he does. And so we know there's a God. And why did God make us? Why did he bother? Certainly he had other things to do. Why did he make Adam and Eve and you and me? We're creatures of God. And why did he put within us this uneasiness, this restlessness, which has led all of us to a lot of disappointments in life because we had an objective. When it was attained, then, well, it wasn't that great after all, and we were hankering after something else, maybe not knowing what it was, and we did. After things, my dad, I remember my father, who passed away in 1960. But when I was a kid, we lived in a very ordinary neighborhood. The elites lived on the other side of town. And my dad was just a clerk in the office of the Great Northern Railroad in St. Paul, Minnesota. And yet, I don't remember how many times, but again and again and again and again, he would say, "I wish I had a Packard." Well, a Packard was the classy luxury car at that time. What on earth? Nobody in our neighborhood had a Packard. Why was my dad talking about a Packard? Of course, on his income, which was very moderate. And we lived during the Depression times in the 1930s. At first, he didn't have any car. He rode the streetcar to work. And then we got a Model A Ford. And after that, we got a Chev. Oh my. But never, there was no Packard parked in front of our house or in our garage. The garage, in fact, was so short, so small, you couldn't have fitted a Packard in it. But he wanted a Packard. And what is it you want? You want this and that. Are you a collector? Some people have something that they're collecting. One lady, it's teacups, and someone else, it's rare coins. But you never have enough teacups, and you never have enough coins of an old date so that they're very valuable. No, you're collecting, but there's a certain restlessness. And maybe you're just striving to get a good post, but you never become a chief executive officer in the company for which you were. No, you didn't make it. Someone else makes it, and then he's hankering after the lead spot in a bigger corporation. There's just, we go, we go, we go. We strive, we strive. We move, but we never get where we really want to go. What's all of this? Did you know that there's a whole Bible book? It's not a long one, only 12 chapters, but an entire Bible book that tells about this striving for stuff that is earthly, material, tangible. It's the book of Ecclesiastes. And the key word in the book of Ecclesiastes, written by Solomon, who had everything, a vast empire which had been conquered by his father David, and money, oh my, servants, yes, a palace. He had everything imaginable. And so under God, from his pen comes this book of Ecclesiastes. And there's a key word in that book, vanity. It appears 37 times. What is meant by vanity? Emptiness. Emptiness. No matter what you strive for, no matter what you struggle for, no matter what you push for in your life, when you get it, it is vanity, meaninglessness. It really isn't that important. It's not there. And so it is in the scripture. God made us. Why did he make us? He made us not so we could fool around for a few years on this earth until we died. He made us for himself, that we would believe on him, that we would love him, that we would serve him. And as the hart pants after the water brook, the deer pants after the water brook, says David in Psalm 42, so pants my soul after thee, Oh God. Ah, yeah. Or I have my Bible open here to Psalm 60, 63, where it says, O God, thou art my God. Early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. That is that uneasiness. That's why we're disappointed in everything else. That's why we are just restless in ourselves, and nothing seems to work out right for us, because it is going to be in the Lord. And amazingly, all the things we hanker after in this world will disappear. The company for which you work will not exist someday. Or maybe you've had the experience already of working for some place that folded up. Either what they made nobody wanted anymore, or it wasn't managed well, and it went into bankruptcy, and your job was gone, and you were looking for another. If you're collecting, everything you collected will vanish someday. You will leave it behind. Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 6, verse 19, don't lay up, store up treasures for yourself on this earth, but lay up for yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust corrupt, nor thieves break through and steal. Through the years, being a pastor, I collected quite a library. In the last 3 or 4 years here, I have been reducing it. I think I have about a third of what I had. And knowing I'll leave it all behind anyway. So I gave some to a church library. I've given a number of these books to young pastors who are starting to build a library. And I still have a fair number, in fact. You see some books behind me, and this is in my living room. But actually, there are 3, 4 other rooms with shelves of books and so on. And some people have a lot of books. Wilbur Smith, under whom I sat as a student, perhaps one of the greatest Bible teachers in this country, had a personal library of 25,000. He left it all behind. Mm-hmm. Warren Wiersbe, who for years was pastor of Moody Church, had a great library. And because he reviewed books for Moody Monthly, publishers sent him free copies, so he had quite a library. When he moved to Nebraska, his wife was in charge of the house hunting, and she told a realtor, we want a library with a house attached. So, oh my, but Warren Wiersbe is now in heaven, and Cedarville University has his library. And I'm looking at some of the books I have. Some are very old. They're over 100 years old, and the back is breaking. And I sprinkle in a little Elmer's glue to keep it holding together. But then I find that the paper of the page is so brittle that it breaks off, and I have to start putting Scotch tape on it. All of this will go, all of it. Lay not up for yourself treasures on earth, where moth and rust corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. No, it'll all go. 2 Corinthians 4:18, the things which are seen, all the stuff that you desired, everything you hankered after, everything you thought if you got it, you would be satisfied, but still vanity. There was an emptiness. No, it didn't work. The things which are seen are temporal. And the things, says Paul in this text, in 2 Corinthians 4:18, the things which are not seen are eternal. Oh my. So when you work after God and go after Him, your relationship with Him through Jesus Christ, who died to save you, that's eternal. You see, there's something in us. We hanker after holiness because that is God-likeness. And even the most wicked person wants at times to do something right. It's just that restlessness that amidst all the foolishness and vileness and filthiness and criminality, he wants to do something right. Chicago mobsters gave to charity. What was that? Well, it was that hankering in the heart after something that was invisible and unperishable. It was Augustine, the early Christian, who said, the heart is restless. The heart is restless. That's what we've been talking about, restlessness, until it finds its rest in God. And so it is true. And you too will find it true. The heart is restless until it finds its rest in God.
Whatever happens, I'll give thanks to you. Whatever happens, I know your love will see me through. I offer my heart, seen the very least I